Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stoney Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe while you're here. Okay, so it's a beautiful day. It's mid-March, late winter for us here in Zone 6B, and it's time to prune our peach trees. And so today we're going to do a little bit of, spend some time telling you guys how to prune peach trees. Then I'll do a little bit of a demo on my dwarf peach tree that we have here, okay? One thing that I did want to mention to you guys before we get started on the actual pruning is talk just a little bit about the tools. So a good, thicker, heavier pruner is going to be important. There are going to be branches that are pretty thick that you're going to need to get rid of. I always prefer, especially with these bigger ones, I prefer a bypass pruner instead of an anvil pruner for the big ones. My smaller one is an anvil pruner, and that's fine. But for the big ones, you get a cleaner cut with a bypass. And then the other thing is before I started pruning today, I made sure that I sharpened both of these up. So you want to make sure that you're working with clean, sharp, well cared for tools. That will help. Especially if you're pruning multiple trees. It's also a good idea if you have any disease problems or anything like that, that between trees you sterilize your pruners by putting them in a solution of 1 tablespoon of bleach to about 1 gallon of water. That will sterilize and kill any possible viruses or bacteria that you may be transferring between trees. So that's always a good idea too if you're doing multiple trees in your garden. So, okay guys, so this is my peach tree. So this is a Red Haven, and it's a dwarf tree. So this is a good tree for us to really be able to see because it's so small. I can get it all in the camera here. So if you have a semi-dwarf or a full-size tree, they're obviously going to be a lot bigger than this. This is a dwarf tree. We chose a dwarf tree for this area because we've got garden beds back here. We didn't want to get too much shade going on those beds, and we just have a small yard and needed to kind of keep our trees relatively small. We've got a couple of apple trees right here out of scene that you can't see, and so we kind of had to keep everything small. Okay, so let's talk first about the general idea of pruning a peach tree. So you can see here we have what's called, it's called an open center or a vase type pruning. So what we're looking for is a nice vase shape in the center of the tree. We want this whole area here to be open. So we don't want, with a peach or a nectarine tree, and you can prune plums this way as well, we don't want a tall central leader, okay? That's apples and others that we would do those. For these, we want to have this big open area in here for the sunshine and lots of air circulation, okay? And again, it's really nice for because I can get in here with a dwarf tree and actually show you what I'm talking about. So we want this area in the center to be open, and that's what we're going for. Now, we also want 3 to 5 scaffolding branches. So these are the scaffolding branches here, okay? And unfortunately, this tree, by the way, is 6 years old. So again, that's dwarf trees, so you guys have an idea of what a dwarf tree can look like. But I never, unfortunately, could get a scaffolding branch to start coming out this direction. So I've got 3 all to this way. I never got a 4th. I was hoping for a 4th, and I actually have a 4th down here that I cut off because it was underneath one of the other ones. So the idea then is to have this vase shape and to be able to get all the sunlight in there that we have, okay? So that's what you're looking for when you're pruning it young, is to get that shape in there. And then now we're going to talk about how to prune a mature peach tree. So you should be pruning your peach trees every year. So peaches grow on 1-year-old wood that's roughly pencil size. So like this is where we're going to have peaches this year on this branch. You can tell that you're going to have fruiting branches because they'll be a little bit redder, if that makes sense. So we'll get, a peach tree has overall a red tone to it, but you'll have this graying here, and then the fruiting wood is going to have more of a red tone to it. And so we want to manage that fruiting wood, and so we have to prune every year in order to get the tree to produce new fruiting wood. So this year, so what you see now, that's where the peaches are going to grow. But next year we want new 1-year-old fruiting wood So we're going to prune to manage that and to make sure that we're constantly having a renewal of those branches. Okay, so that's why, and you should always, every year, you should be pruning a mature peach tree. You don't let it go, you don't leave it. You need to be pruning it every year so that you get good, dependable production. Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that we're going to look at on a mature tree. So the first thing that we're going to want to look at is any water sprouts. And fortunately, I did a good enough job last year of pruning that I don't have any water sprouts on this tree. But water sprouts would be branches that grow straight up. Okay, so they may be coming from the trunk, they may be up here on some of the scaffolding branches, but they're going to go straight up in the air. Okay, we don't want any of those. So anything that's growing straight up in the air, water sprout wise, we want to get rid of. And water sprouts don't produce fruit very often, and so any of those that are just shooting straight up in the air need to be gone. We need to get rid of those. Okay, the next thing that we're going to be looking for is crossing branches. So let me do a quick, is what I mean with crossing branches is anything that branches that cross over each other and have the possibility of touching and rubbing. Okay, so I've got a cutaway here. We only had one crossing branch this year on this tree, so let me do this cutaway video and you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay guys, so unfortunately this year I must have done such a good job last year that I really don't have a lot of crossing branches to show you. This is the only one on the whole tree that's really crossing. So see how we've got here, we've got this one. This is actually a decent little branch. There'll be some fruit on this. But this one is crossing over this. And so if we get any fruit or any weight at all on this branch, is what's going to happen this year is it's going to rub on this tree or branch here. And this is a more substantial branch, one that we're going to want to continue. And that rubbing will actually cause damage to both branches, but right here especially as this branch matures, it's going to cause damage to this branch. So we don't want that to happen. So this guy needs to be removed all the way back here at the base. So the next thing that we're going to want to look at is any dead branches, and I call this gray wood. So we're going to be looking for anything on the tree that looks like it has died. And again, we had a pretty good year last year, and I'm not seeing, well, right here. So this branch is looking pretty crispy. It's not really in a very good spot anyways, and so I'm probably going to cut that one off. Dead wood though will usually look gray, and I'm just looking here. I don't have a lot of dead wood on this tree. So we're going to want to, anything that's dead, we're going to want to get rid of. Okay, so that's the next thing you're going to look at. Then the next thing is we want to clean out the center. So anything that's growing here in the center, like for example, this branch right here, that's new growth from last year, but it's right smack in the middle where we don't want it, okay? And so that branch is going to come out. And then we're also going to look for anything that's growing up on the scaffolding branches. So right here, can we see this one? Yeah, we can see this one right here. It's growing straight up in the air. Anything that's growing up, we want to get rid of because we don't want it blocking the sun. We want the sun to be able to come in. So anything that's growing straight up goes away. We want all of our branches growing out from the scaffolding, and the scaffolding branches ought to be at about a 45-degree angle, and then as they come off and branch out, we want to keep those out there in that plane, and we don't want lots of ups, and we also don't want lots of downs. So if you've got, like for example right here, this is relatively new growth and it's going down, this one especially is bad. We're going to get rid of all of those. So anything up, anything down is automatically going to go away. Okay, the next thing that we're going to want to do when we're pruning trees is we're going to want to head any of these branches. So for example, this guy is getting a little long out here, so we're going to choose a bud that that's going to grow in a right, because as soon as we cut a branch, then it's at the next bud joint, it's going to start putting out things. And we want, you know, this one's a little bit long, so we're going to head this back. So now we're kind of just looking for shape. So we're going to cut that guy off right there, okay? This one here, we've got that one's going straight up in the air, so get rid of that one. But we've got several buds and several small branches that are going to come off on this one and do a nice job. Right here, this is going straight up in the air, so it's gone. Okay, and it's what we're going to do then is we're going to go through and we're going to head these, and heading them like that, just cutting off maybe 25% of the branch, causes those branches to stiffen up and become stronger and focus on what's there and existing. and it makes for stronger fruiting wood so that our fruit will hold on better and that we'll have overall stronger branches. So we're going to go through and we're going to head all of those branches. So the next thing we're going to look at is clusters. And as you guys can see, we're kind of really getting gnarly in here. There's a lot of branch growth. The tree responded to the pruning that I did last year pretty well, and so we've got a lot of growth in here. And if all of this were to get fruit on it, all of this big branch here, wow, that would just really weight things down. And so we're going to want to clean this out a little bit. So I can automatically right here, we've got this one that's growing straight up, we'll get rid of it. This one is almost straight up, so we're going to get rid of it right there. Let's go this direction instead. This one is growing straight up, and this guy right there, and that one. Okay, so now we've kind of thinned down this branch in that big cluster of branches. Okay, and that's the kind of the last thing that we're going to look at. Then the other thing is that you want to look at with pruning peach trees is weight distribution and what you're actually going to be looking at when you have mature fruit. And these scaffolding branches are still fairly small, and they'll get bigger over the years, but again, this is a dwarf tree, so they're not going to get huge. But see how this guy is all the way out here, so we're way out here. When we put weight on that, the fruit weight, it is just really, there's so much leverage out here. So I actually think this year, unfortunately, we've got this big branch, but I think I'm actually going to cut this right off right here. So we're going to take that off completely to reduce some of the weight load. And that will then allow both of these branches to branch out and become primary branches. And I think that'll get some of this length and distance that's so far out here that's levering that branch down, so that we have, less weight load on the tree. Okay, so that is what we're going to do and what we're going to be targeting. So now I am going to kind of just go through and prune my tree a little bit, and then we'll go back and I'll show you what I did, kind of an after of what we did here on the tree. Okay guys, so here's some examples of, again, this guy is right here in the center. We want it to go away. Get that cut just a little bit smoother. This guy right here, see how it's growing straight up? So it is going to go away. This cluster, we're going to take that whole thing off, so we'll leave that be. What else do we have? Any other growing straight up? Not really. This guy right here, straight up, so we'll get rid of him. I'm not real happy with this one either, so see how it's going right up in the air. That one's gone. Here's a good example of some gray wood. I actually didn't think I had any gray wood. That branch for some reason has died, so we're going to get rid of it. And then I'm not happy with this one either, going straight up, so I'm going to get rid of it. And see how this branch, see how this one is going straight down? I don't want that. So I'm going to try, we've got a bud right here. So I'm going to see what happens if we clip this right here. And then what we're hoping for is that we'll get some development on this one that goes up instead of down. Same thing here. See how this guy is going down and these guys are going up. So we're going to actually head this branch right here, so that we get those branches. And then this guy, see this guy straight up in the air? We're going to just make him go away. That will actually take some of the fruit load off of that branch too. This one right here, see how we're crossing? So it comes up here and then we go here. So we're going to get rid of that one. And then this one, straight up in the air. So it's going to go away. And that should actually kind of really reduced our fruit load on that one. But this over here is all in pretty good shape. We'll have some pretty good fruit on these. So this branch will kind of be a developmental branch. We might get a peach or two out here, but that's all that branch could handle anyways, okay? All right, so see this one? This is kind of the clusters that I'm talking about. I'm not happy with where that branch is. It's right here in the crotch of this other one. So we're gonna make that go away. Still debating this guy. This guy may come out this year. We'll see. Okay, let's look. Let's look over here. See, we've kind of got a bit of a mess here. Most of this is last year's growth. This branch is not quite gray, but it looks like it's going to die anyways. And then I don't like the direction this is all taken. So we're actually going to come, I'm going to come all the way. We're going to have to get the bigger pruners for that. So let's, this one, see how we're going down. So let's see. Can we do that? Yeah. See how this branch is going down? We want that to go away, so we'll cut this off. That will make that primary. This one straight up, making it go away. Straight up, straight up. Down, we don't want this one. See this one here, underneath, gone, underneath, gone, underneath, gone, underneath, gone. This is damaged, unfortunately. Look at that. Do you see that? So it broke off, and so it's got to go away. I think we'll make it go away all the way to here. So we'll go right there, and then that is going to kind of make these primary. And then here's a little bit of a crossing branch. Yeah, I think that's going to go away too. Okay. All right, and then we've got a little bit of damage out here on this tip. And then we're going to just kind of head these. All of these are going to just get headed so that they strengthen up a bit. So just kind of head all of these here. Okay, so quite a bit more to do, but I'm not going to take you guys to see this one straight down. So quite a bit more to do here, but I won't make you guys go through all of it. We'll just kind of do an after once I've shown you. Okay guys, so just a couple of kind of final finishing thoughts here for this video. When we're pruning peach trees, and I know this hurts, I really do. Trust me, I'll probably go back and even prune a little bit more than what I've shown you here. We're shooting for pruning out about 40% of the tree, about 40% of last year's growth. We want to thin it down. That's going to help manage fruit load and weight, and it's going to promote new growth next year by thinning out that much. And when you think about that number, 40% of the tree, almost half of the tree, you're going to be cutting out, or half of the new growth anyways, you're going to be cutting out. So keep that in mind. That's kind of our target. And then timing wise, you should be doing this in late winter, early spring. I'm just starting to get buds. They have not flowered yet. We're just starting to get some buds. That's a perfect time, or even a little bit before that if weather allows. Is what you want to do is get it while it's not super, you know, living and lots of sap flowing and everything like that. It's a little bit easier on the tree if you prune, you know, that in that late winter, early spring time frame. Okay. All right. So that, my friends, is pruning peach trees, and do it every year. Make sure you do it every year. And I know it hurts, but it's good for the tree. Trust me, it really is, and it'll help manage it. Now, one other thing that you're going to want to look at is once you've flowered and set fruit, you're also going to want to look at thinning that fruit. And I did a video last year on that, and so I'll include that with a link up here at the top so that you guys can see that video as well, because you will need to thin your fruit load as well, depending on what your year's like. If you have a big blossom year and a lot of fruit sets, then you may need to thin that fruit load so that you get, because you want nice, big, juicy peaches. We don't want a whole bunch of little tiny ones. So you're going to thin that fruit out there as well. So that video is linked up above. Okay, I think that is all that I have for you for this video, guys. Thank you very much. I appreciate you watching. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Click on that notification bell so that you get noticed when I release new videos, which is 2 or 3 times a month. So make sure that you click that subscribe bell so that you find out when they're there. Okay, that's all I have for you guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and happy gardening.